And then we've got the example of complex traits, where when you see not just binary differences or 3 different phenotypes, dark, medium, light skin color, or purple flowers, red flowers, but you have a continuously varying trait like height. So I don't remember when this picture was taken, but it looks like it was probably a long time ago given what they're wearing, where the students in this college lined up based on their height, and so in 1-inch intervals, you can see how many students in this class were the different heights. This is what geneticists expect of these so-called complex traits, when it's not a binary phenotype. And that means that instead of asking scientists to do this phenotype mapping, look for associations between genotype and phenotype, which is easy when it's a simple trait, just one gene, it gets much harder the more genes you add. So you can see here, here's an example where this trait presumably is just controlled by 3 genes. And yet you have 7 different phenotypes. So if you have 1 gene controlling the trait, you can have 3 phenotypes. If you have 3 genes, you can have 7 genotypes. The more genes that are involved underlying this phenotype, the much more complicated the analysis gets. That's why we use computers to do these sorts of analyses and not just doing it by eye like we did on the previous slide. Finally, we've got complex trait mapping. Let me introduce this and then I'll take your question, certainly. Complex trait mapping, and this is what I'd like you to look at for next class. This is a diagram of 2 different chromosomes. So this parent is genetically homogeneous. That's why the 2 chromosomes is homozygous. The 2 chromosomes are the same color. So think of the colors as alleles. We've got a parent whose leaves have very few hairs or trichomes. We've got one other genotype, the homozygous blue genotype, where the leaves are very hairy. And you can see that their F1 heterozygote is in intermediate phenotypes. This is another example of codominance. And these scientists then, this is just a cartoon of real data, made a variety of siblings that have different fragments of the different chromosomes. So every time you see a single chromosome here, you should imagine that the other chromosome, these are all diploids, looks exactly the same. So each of these individuals has an interesting pattern of different blocks of the alleles, but they're all homozygous at every locus. So you need to figure out, your job is, what part of that chromosome from top to bottom, which allele, red or blue, if you drew one line across here representing a gene, which part of the chromosome controls the hairiness of the leaf? That's the job.